I'll let you go ahead and kick us off and introduce Mr. O in a concise way, sir.
Greetings and thank you so much for showing up today. That's really appreciate very much, and welcome to Ask My Billionaire Business Mentor Anything, and I really mean you can ask anything to him. And Mr. O is a reckless billionaire because of economy swings, has put together all the ingredients that caused him to become a billionaire. And those ingredients are called the 13 standards of knowledge. I'm so honored to be his student. And I just joined him 4 months ago, and I saw the very positive results, how my life has changed myself. And I wanted to really share with my select LinkedIn group members who are the business CEOs and founders of the companies, just to see how I get the first life experience with him almost every week on my coaching with him. And that gives you the opportunity in this situation right now, what's happening in this world, crazy times, to get you the opportunity to get answer to your questions. So with that one, Mr. O, take it away.
Thank you very much. It's a privilege to see all of you and be here. Keep in mind, I'm 81 years old. I'm partially blind, and like anybody at my age, I have a few problems. I have vertigo and a few things. And so I work for Mohammed Siddique. So this event here is his. And I guess that I might tell you this, that in '08, there was a crunch. People of my ilk, I lost nothing, but a lot of people of my ilk did. I have close to 10 billion in assets in real estate around the globe, mostly beachfront properties. I have a lot of other businesses. I've been in the medical industry, owned a few hospitals, things like this. I'm a recluse for several reasons. Number one, I had a lady sue me for palimony at one time for $12 million. I won the case, but it took me 8 years to fight it. I then, at another time, I had happened to, I hit a lick, so to speak, and I had a few extra dollars, and so I gave $3 million to the Red Cross, and then bastard sold my name to everybody and their brother, who started contacting me to beg for money and all this kind of stuff. So I just went through a whole lot of things, and I just decided that I wouldn't shave or cut my hair again, and I would just become a recluse, and so that's why I'm a recluse at this time. The term, the standards of knowledge, what happened in '08 was, in that crunch, I thought, I need a cash flow other than just raw properties. I have a vast amount of raw properties, but you spend several million a year just keeping the properties up. And so sometimes you're extra with cash and sometimes you're not. I always keep myself fluid. So I saw this lady, Oprah Winfrey, became a billionaire from a talk show or some kind of a TV show with children in the afternoon or something, stay-at-home moms. And so I looked at The Apprentice and a couple other things. So I thought I would do a show called The Billionaire Recluse Files, wherein I would make people multimillionaires or billionaires. And when I first started out, I did it for free. I have more money than I can spend anyway at my age. I can't spend what I have, unless I go out and buy 10,000 Lamborghinis or some freaking thing like that. But at any rate, so I decided to do it for free to help a bunch of people, and I got no respect. And at the end of the day, I started charging a fee, and I got a bunch of people. And that's not what this is about. This isn't any kind of a sales pitch or anything. I'm just letting you know the genesis of where I'm at today. So I put together everything that helped me acquire what I have, the essence of myself. Well, what caused me to become a billionaire? What helped me? What are these things? And I boiled it all down. There's 4,000 sheets into 13 standards of knowledge. And what I'd like to do is I would like to take a few minutes and have John just show you that. And then based from that, you can ask me questions and I'll help any of you in any way I can. And again, this is, even though the video looks like a sales pitch, that's not what this is. I am here, Siddique owns me. I am here to help you and answer any questions that I can for you people. So I would like, if Siddique, if I have your permission, I would like them to see those standards of knowledge. John, would you bring that up and show it, please?
Yes, sir, stand by.
There are caveats in front of it, and I'll explain those later.
And folks, just be aware there's probably going to be a slight lag due to bandwidth. So, but you'll hear the audio even if the video slightly lags. So I'm going to play it now, sir.
Mr. O has not and will not make any claims that his wealth has any effect on the information provided under the 13 standards of knowledge. Which individuals use the pseudonym Mr. O may never be personally known to you. We will not be responsible for your desire to meet Mr. O You will never be provided with any accounting or evidence of Mr. O's assets. Mr. O's claimed wealth. All of my consulting is based on a set of standards of knowledge. These are entitled the 13 Standards of Knowledge. These standards of knowledge were developed as a result of over a half a century of personal experiences, resulting in great wealth. For a period of several years, we conducted tests on the 13 standards of knowledge with potential clients. We told them to evaluate each of the standards individually in this manner. What could you be worth if you mastered this standard? We asked them to put down a B for $1 billion if they felt that the results could be unlimited. Over 97% of the people came in at $13 billion or greater. Several accomplished business professionals came in at hundreds of billions of dollars. Look at the standards of knowledge now and see how you feel about what you could be worth if you mastered the 13 standards of knowledge. Number 1, potential of the mind. To be totally aware of your mind and its potential and such you to in life. Confidence in any and all situations. Number 6, knowledge of the ability to do the same thing. The ability to and success. Number 8, no fear of news. The tremendous how thought processes, like the minds that create success. Routine.
I think it's very interesting that for number 13, like, people overlook that so often. They don't realize also that, yeah, you have the ability. I love all things related to
to see where you're at now, what your strategy is. You know, I'm X years old, I'm making X number of dollars a year. What's my exit strategy? How can I get out of the situation I'm in if I want out? How can I step into a new one? And how can I improve myself to make things work? And I'll keep talking here until I see a hand up that someone wants to ask me something. But one of the things I try to do with my clients and or here is I have people think like a billionaire and then act on those thoughts like a billionaire. I have no idea of what your assets are or who you are or anything else, like you don't know who I am. But the point is this, that if someone thinks like the average person, they're going to have 300,000 or 400,000 in the bank and they're just going to have the average stuff. You have to think like a billionaire to get to be a billionaire. And there's a big difference in the way we think and the way we attack business. For example, in real estate, on just about every time, pretty close to the minimum I make is a couple thousand% on projects I work on. We have one in Montana now. It's for a survivalist thing. What's our percentage profit going to be up there, John?
The net profit is going to be 57,142%.
57,000% on the investment, and I got the investment. I got the property up there with no money out of pocket. With people I work, I show people how to make things happen, how to get equipment for businesses, how to get properties, and I don't mind giving you those techniques. I've got it down to a formula. It's very simple. It works very well. I think with Siddique's help, we're in the process right now. Contracts being put together on about 6,400 acres. Is that correct, Siddique? Yes, at this time. And so that's pretty good. And what's the total value there, John? 19, 20 million, something like that?
Actually, just for the properties in the past week, we were looking at over $16 million.
And putting together without any money out of our pockets to make things happen. My belief is this: in any business venture that I'm in, and I would suggest to you folks, that when you're in something, make it win-win for everybody. It's much easier to put deals together. Everybody feels comfortable with what you're doing and how you're doing it. They don't feel that you're taking advantage of them because you have money or you might have a certain intellectual prowess greater than theirs. That's one of the things I believe in. It all has to be win-win for every single person involved. There's a lot of times when I get into business, if I feel that one of the entities isn't making enough, I change it so that they are. In fact, it shocks people. Sometimes I'll call someone up and say, look, the contract that's being proposed right here isn't right. It has to be adjusted. And they get all upset. Well, wait a minute here. I thought this was, I said, no, please understand me. You're not making enough. We need to adjust it so that you are. It kind of shocks people. but it makes business easy, and it makes me sleep easy at night, and it makes me feel really, really good about the people I deal with. And so not only that, you have to be able to explain things. I'm a guy, first of all, I have two educations. I have a sixth grade education as far as school goes. I lied to get a Juris Doctorate. I went into college and I got a Juris Doctorate. I do not practice as an attorney, never have, and you wouldn't want me as an attorney. I would suck as an attorney. However, I wanted to understand the basic tenets of how this country works. And of course, it's all based on laws, and everything we do is based on laws. So I have that in my quiver to be able to deal with people. And so let me ask again and see if anybody has any questions. I don't know what kind of businesses you're in. Some people might need money. There's a lot of people I talk to and they say, I'm trying to go out and get loans. A lot of people, I show them how to reach if they need, a couple $100,000 or $1 million or $2 million, how to get that money where you don't have to pay it back. It's not a grant or anything else, just the way you do business, where you can put concepts together and raise money in advance. Sometimes it could be advanced sales or concept or LLC. It could be any number of things. But there's a lot of problems people have in business, and a lot of them are centered around money. A lot of them are centered around marketing. And so with real estate, for example, when I find a real estate deal, and again, I'm going to run my mouth until I see somebody wave their hand, and then I'll shut up and answer your questions. Okay, we've got two people. There's the girl there. I think she just wants me to shut up. But I'm just teasing you. Kaylee?
Yes. One question at a time?
Please.
Okay. If there is an individual who I would like to reach out to, regardless of what they do, but they are so insulated by their own people, if you will, how do I find out what problem they have so that I can give them something?
Okay, it's a kind of a twofold question, but it's a very good one. And Capricia, I'll get to you here in just a second. First of all, there's always gatekeepers, and even with my financial status, I don't let people know who I am, and so I have to find a way to reach to people. And there's two things. John, hold up the peace sign. One of them is greed, and the other is vanity. If you can learn to appeal to either the greed or the vanity of an individual, then you can talk to them, you can control the conversation or anything. So if there's an individual out there that I want to reach, for example, a few years back, I sent one of my people to Los Angeles to do business, and there was one individual that the one company I own could not reach him for the longest time at all. So do research, do a Google, and find out what people do. They do several things. They might fish, they might hunt, they might go bowling, they might go to church, they might see the opera, they might see the symphony, or whatever the case is. In this particular case, the guy was involved with the opera theater. So I sent one of my concierges out there, and he went to one of their events and simply said, I work for a recluse billionaire. I don't know if he's into opera or not, but I know he is philanthropic, and I know there's a good resource for money. Within 15 minutes, he met every heavy hitter in the opera, including the target that we had. They then had something in common because both of them were interested in putting money in the opera, and he was honest. He didn't know if I would or wouldn't put it in there, but that gave him space right in front of that person to talk. And then once we get in front of somebody, how we express ourselves. Number 9 in the Standards of Knowledge talks about the tremendous power lurking in you. And so it's important when we're talking to people that we express ourselves in a way where they sense it, they see the power, and they see the need. So I'm curious, young lady, what is it that is your profession, please?
I'm a real estate investor.
I see. Okay. And so I never want to know who the person is or something. It's somebody you want to buy something from, or you want to extract some money from them to help you invest in something, or what's the main goal? So I can help you answer the question better.
Sure. The main goal for me is to try to put my face everywhere as much as possible to be able to have people be aware of who I am. One of the reasons that we don't succeed is people just don't know who we are. And I have a really purposeful mission in life to create independence and to create 1 billion female investors in the world in the next 10 years. So I'm going to need to have people know who I am to be able to do that. And those people have access to, being put on every platform there is known to man.
Okay, now just the rest of you are gentlemen, and this is one lady in here, so some of you are going to have to get a sex change. Please know that right now. Just having fun. And so that's very good with what you're talking about. You're talking about building a platform so you're in control of their money, or they're doing this independently.
Well, either or. I really want it to be their choice. So I do, real estate deals, buying apartments and some commercial deals as the principal. And if they like me enough, they can invest with me, but they can do whatever they want. Just it's having the knowledge and having the self-confidence to be able to invest.
Okay. What I would like to do is address the gentleman out there, his question, and come back to this. I want to address that for you in a way that kind of helps everybody. May I do that? And then I think you may have another question. But before I do that, I will say this. In my particular case, I do just the opposite. Now, if I told you my name, everybody here would know who I am already. I've been out there, and I have an altered voice right now, but I've got books and tapes and stuff out there, and I've been in front of audiences all around the world and all this sort of thing. I'm just so old now, I couldn't care less who I am or what people think of who I am and all this kind of thing. It means nothing. Of course, you would know who I was anyway when I introduced it, but aside from that, you would know. So I can't pronounce your name again. I'm going to call you Glasses. Okay, Glasses. You have another question? Speak up.
I took my glasses off. I think you're referring to me, sir. Capriccio.
Capriccio.
Yes, sir. I teach a class amongst the many things that I do. I teach a class at SAE Institute. Well, a couple classes, but in particular this week, I'm teaching on entrepreneurship. And one of the questions that came up was motivation. And so someone such as yourself, how do you find, or what motivates you? How do you stay motivated at this stage of your career and your life? Where do you find your inspiration or motivation?
For me right now, it's to wake up tomorrow. It's to live as long as I can. It's to help people. But my main thing is I don't want Alzheimer's. So I can obviously go where I want and do what I want. I have my access to yachts and jets, anything I want, of course. But I don't want Alzheimer's, so I keep my mind real busy. I like to help people, and I like to help myself at the time I'm helping people. So my personal motivation is to be able to, again, keep going as long as I can, keep my mind going, be fresh, and keep generating dollars to see if I can win the game of who dies with the most. I'm way far behind. I have some friends that have 30 and 40 billion, and so I'm just a small vegetable in the pot here. But the thing is, that's what motivates me, is to keep alive, keep healthy. I have a gym in my compound. I never leave it. John Lee doesn't know who I am. He's never met me. I'm partners in a couple law firms. The attorneys have never met me. Nobody knows who I am, and it still works fine. And the reason I mention that is because I'll address, is that correct, Kaylee? Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Your name? Okay, because I can't, it's hard for me to read the stuff there. So Capriccio there, if I call him Glasses, he'll have to live with it. But that's what motivates me. But that doesn't necessarily mean that that's what should motivate you. There's nothing wrong with having a lot of money. It's fun. It's fun to be philanthropic, to help people and give money away. It's fun to make more money. And there's something I want every one of you to be aware of. As we're speaking here today, your brain has given birth to several neurons. This is what happens all day long. Your brain gives birth to new neurons. A lot of those neurons die. What makes the neurons live is if you use them, if you think in a different way. I would like your permission, Siddique, to show just a couple-minute film on with Centis on how we think in our past and neurology. May I do that? John, please show that for a second. While you're bringing that up, I'll just talk to the people. So in addition to this film here, which is actually on neuroplasticity, I study neurogenesis and all that because I used to think to myself, gee whiz, here's an individual that's got a lot more abilities than I have, and I'm a billionaire, and they got a couple 100,000, and they think they're doing well. I'll shut up while this is being played.
Not so long ago, many scientists believed that the brain did not change after childhood, that it was hardwired and fixed by the time we became adults. But recent advances in only the last decade now tell us that this is simply not true. The brain can and does change throughout our lives. It is adaptable, like plastic, Hence, neuroscientists call this neuroplasticity. How does neuroplasticity work? If you think of your brain as a dynamic, connected power grid, there are billions of pathways or roads lighting up every time you think, feel, or do something. Some of these roads are well-travelled. These are our habits, our established ways of thinking, feeling, and doing. Every time we think in a certain way, practice a particular task, or feel a specific emotion, we strengthen this road. It becomes easier for our brains to travel this pathway. Say we think about something differently, learn a new task, or choose a different emotion. We start carving out a new road. If we keep travelling that road, our brains begin to use this pathway more, and this new way of thinking, feeling, or doing becomes second nature. The old pathway gets used less and weakens. This process of rewiring your brain by forming new connections and weakening old ones is neuroplasticity in action. The good news is that we all have the ability to learn and change by rewiring our brains. If you have ever changed a bad habit or thought about something differently, you have carved a new pathway in your brain and experienced neuroplasticity firsthand. With repeated and directed attention towards your desired change, you can rewire your brain.
Thank you, John. So in my teaching of the 13 standards of knowledge, it's important to me that those whom I work with understand and experience that it's not a big thing to become a billionaire. It's easy for me to say because I am one and have been for quite some time, but it just isn't. And it's just people thinking different. And by the way, this is no part of a sales pitch, but I mentioned to you when I first started out that I wanted to train everybody for nothing. So in Las Vegas, I put ads in the paper, got a bunch of offices, got a bunch of business people in there. I said, I'll finance the whole deal. I don't need any money from people. I just want to do this show and I'll make enough money off my show that I'll have the cash flow I need. Everybody signed up. We would show up with the limousines and the movie trailer and stuff. Oh, Mr. O, can you wait an hour? I'm talking to my girlfriend or whatever. I got no respect unless people had skin in the game. So down the road, when we do have clients, they come in, they pay a fee, but we give them the fee back by contract. If they just do what they're supposed to do, we give them the money back. We don't need your money. We don't want your money. So I know that sounds like a pitch, Siddique, but I have to let them know that so they don't think that it's some kind of a system to suck money out of people. That's not the case. I can make my own from scratch. I could sit in a room. As a matter of fact, I had a challenge one time before I became a recluse. I was in a group of people and I had gone to the bank 4 days ahead of time and I ordered some cash. And I stacked $1 million on the podium, which is hard to do in $100 bills on a small podium, but I did it. And I told the people in the room, if you give me, it's our number 7, if you give me an idea that's legal and ethical, if I can't make money from it, then you can have this $1 million. And I'll prove it during this lecture here, and then I'll go on to make the money. I let someone else officiate the meeting. They come up with 50 or 60 ideas. I took on 2 of them. One of them was selling dog poo. The other one was selling a homeless lifestyle to executives that had the golden parachute or got out of business. Now that one had already been done in Europe. They charge $5,000 for the package, and it teaches people how to live free off the land without sleeping with a bunch of bums that look like me under a bridge somewhere, where they can go out and travel and do what they want. And we've done over $1 million with the dog poo so far. And so just to give you an idea of how that went, I see all the teeth in a couple guys' heads laughing. But what we did is I said, what would I do if I had one of those things in my hand, a doggy gift? Well, I'd toss it away. If I didn't like someone like Siddique, I'd throw it at him and see if he could dodge it. But and just having fun with Siddique there. But at any rate, so we just did a quick analysis. I told the group, I said, let's find the 10 most wanted, hated people in the United States. At that time, it was Paris Hilton and Obama and a couple other people and George Bush, and it went on and on. And so then I said, see if we can get Halloween masks for all these people, and we could. So what ended up being is we do it in arts festivals and stuff like that. We have people walk around with masks of all these people, and we have these people go out and collect the doggy poo and put it in balloons and tie them off and then rinse it off with Dove soap and everything else. We got slingshots there so people can fire a dog turd out of someone. If they hit them, they get a prize. And so it works pretty well, and it does a lot raising money. So the bottom line is, it doesn't matter what's out there, money can be made. When I was young, I made a couple mistakes. I spent some time in jail. I bought some stolen radios out of greed. They were Volkswagen radios. I didn't even have a Volkswagen. I just thought I was going to make some money. I was a kid, and I ended up caught, and I went to jail for it. And while I was in jail, I set up United Prisoners Holding Company, and over a half a century ago, I made 60,000 a year sitting in jail. So money is an easy thing to make under any circumstance. Anyway, anybody else have a question? Young lady, I think you had another one, or you wanted me to follow up. Oh, there's a gentleman here. Greg.
Good afternoon, everyone. How y'all doing? For me, my question is, I noticed the last one said, like Mr. Capriccio said, was about the team. Now, my question to that is, I personally have been trying to build a team for myself and my brand. We'll say about maybe a year and a half now. I'm having problems building that team because everybody's thing is, oh, well, can you pay me for my services? But this is from the ground up. So I don't have access to the funds to give to these individuals that I want to bring on to my team. And because of that, they walk away. And how do you maneuver around that in an environment where that's pretty much the common thought process? Or what can you do for me as far as finances for me to come join your team that's being built from the ground up?
Let me ask you this. What kind of business are you engaged in, sir?
I have an entertainment business.
Okay.
Pretty much production from film, video, music, TV. The overall plan is to end up with my own production studio. But
and you seem like a pretty young fellow. Of course, everybody's young to me because I'm 81. But one of the things to think about is when you have a concept, and you, even if I said, okay, here's $5 million, go ahead and spend it, I wouldn't want you to give a nickel of it to anybody anyway. What you need to do as you build a team, you want like-minded people. Now, in the businesses, up until a couple of weeks ago, I owned 47 businesses. I just decided to dump them all. So I told all the employees, you can have them, put yourself together. And so I'm going through that process now. But in building any kind of a team for anything you want to do, you want to find like-minded people, and you want to appeal to either the greed or vanity of people, the success they can have and what they can do. And they have to believe in you. And so part of it could be they do need money. Another part of it could be, I don't bring people on my team that need money myself. I look for people that don't need money, that want to be involved because they've got money to spend. They're already making investments, but these are better investments. Or they can get advice for the team or whatever. Well, for example, I have a lot of people that are professors at universities that pay me for my tutelage, and I have a 6th grade education. But the reason they do is because they can see that all their efforts over a period of time, what the fruits are. So in your particular case, as you're talking to people, you need to present to them what your main goals are and what their goals are and how they're going to participate in it and how they feel comfortable. For example, some of the deals I get involved with look a little shaky. I mean, here's some bastard, myself, excuse my language. I'm out here and I'm a recluse. I could be some scammer. I could be sitting in San Quentin now on a toilet using the guard's telephone, talking to you people. Nobody knows. And so to make people feel comfortable, I set up trust fund in funds in lawyers' offices. And as I raise money, all the money stays there. And it's insured, and it's guaranteed, and it's backed by a good law firm until everything is ready to go. The people who work, it sounds to me like the possibility of what you're trying to build, you're involving people with various talents, and like yourself, they're on the way up. They're trying to, achieve certain things. So Correct. The main thing, your confidence. They've got to see, nobody has any more confidence in you than you have in yourself. And if they see at the end of the day, there's going to be money there, then they're going to join. Now, let me tell you this, and Siddique can attest to this. We called a guy the other day, and he wanted, what kind of money did they want on that, the logging company? Siddique, it was $100,000 or something like that?
He said $100,000 down payment, otherwise forget it.
And it's otherwise, there's no deal. So I talked to him for a few minutes. I got the deal with no money. And I'll tell you exactly how I did it. When you talk to people and you build a team, when you have something that's win-win, it has to make sense to everybody involved. Okay, we got.
Hey, Jakari, I'm gonna turn your video. Yeah, turn your video off until you're settled, man. Thank you.
Kill that video for me, John.
Will do, sir. Stand by.
Kill. All right, thank you. I can't afford to get sick here. So we talked to this guy. I didn't know him from Adam. Siddique brought him on the phone. He wanted $100,000 down. Absolutely, or forget the deal. I talked to him, and here's what I said. I said, look, I've got enough money to write you a check for the whole thing if I wanted to, but I don't use other people's money. So I have a couple questions for you. If I paid you up to 25% more than you're asking for your property, if you worked with me, is that something you'd entertain? He thought I was nuts and said, well, I would listen. And I said, here's the deal. If on my left hand, and John, you're a waiter, put your left hand out there. On that left hand, if I have a contract on top of that for a piece of property, now on my right hand, let's suppose I have an investor over here, and it's Siddique. And I say, Siddique, I need $5 million for this property. Siddique's going to at least want 51%, probably more, and he's going to want to be in first place. So now, again, I'm talking to the owner of the property. And so I tell the owner, I said, look, I'll pay you your full price if I pay you off, and thank you, John. If I pay you off within 6 months, then I'll pay you your asking price. If it goes up to a period of 24 months, then what I'll do is I'll give you up to 25% more, 8.33% each time. And by the way, if you can sell your property tomorrow, go ahead and knock yourself out and sell it. I just want first right of refusal to buy it. Because any contract I get in, that's not the end of the contract. I can renegotiate it anytime I want. And I'm very good at that. So I asked the guy, what are you going to do when you get your money? Well, I'm going to retire or whatever. Can you make 25% on your money over the next 24 months? Well, probably not. Okay, you be the investor. You stay in first place. I don't want anything. I just don't want to go to jail for a scam. I need a contract that I can raise the money for your property. It's that simple. That's all I need. And so it sounds like, well, what have I got? Well, what I've got is we did a thing up in Wyoming, and we had a fellow from Texas, and he snuck a deal in on John. We made a deal like this, and then he put in there that he got $200,000 last Christmas. And John and the realtor signed it before we realized it. And I said, that's okay. We'll just negotiate right before Christmas. Renegotiate with him. And we did. And I didn't give him anything. And we still have the property. And he's happy and we're happy. So, Greg, it's how you negotiate and how you present yourself. These people are feeling you don't have confidence in what you're doing, or you don't know what you're doing, or they don't see the total end of the picture, or they're starving so much for themselves they don't have the time to put something in on a team to make something happen. So you might look for people for your team who can contribute but already have a cash flow going, and then you appeal to their to their greed or vanity in a wholesome way, of course, so that they can produce. So you've got to have the right people, and then you've got to have the right combination. I hope that made sense for you, sir.
Very much. I'm very appreciative. Thank you.
And that'll be 7 cents, please. Okay.
I see 8.
All right, brother. All right. Anybody else? Okay, and please wave with all 5 fingers. Go ahead. Who was it? It was Stephen. It was Stephen, talk to me, and we'll go back to Kaylee in a second.
Hi. So once again, much as Greg said, it's an honor to meet you, to be on the call, and appreciate the information. Very similar to what Greg said. Talk with the hand. Sorry. Very similar to what Greg said. I have a production company. I've been actually in the process of putting things together and building my team for the last few years. And where we are right now is I have the people. We can actually, we actually have the capability to produce content. And we're trying to take, to capitalize on this big boom in the streaming services and Netflix, and everybody thinks they're going to start a new Netflix. So we want to produce content. But we have one project which we've developed in great detail. We actually shot a feature film last year as all part of being willing to sell or to get a financing deal for shooting a television series based off the concept of that feature film. But we also have a slate of 10 or 12 different projects which we want to do over the next 6 or 7 years. But my question is, as we're getting ready to begin to approach investors, is it better to approach them and just try to pitch one thing that's reasonable, that doesn't really, won't cost as much, but also the return is a little bit more risky or just kind of questionable? Or is it better to pitch a much larger project where there's several different projects in it, but you're looking for more investment But you know, considering the size of the project we're talking about, I can't really say that it's like secured or anything of that nature. So is it better for somebody to approach you or to approach investors with a small investment opportunity that's kind of modest and more easily attained, or is it better to kind of shoot for the fences and go with the bigger objective?
Well, let me answer it this way, sir. The first thing you need to do is when you find a potential investor, you need to be able to read that investor. It doesn't matter what the amount of the investment is. What matters is the return and the safety on the investment. So if you need a large amount of money, you can always set up an LLC or whatever and go to several investors and offer them, you know, they could get X number of unit shares for X number of dollars, but they have to feel secure in what you're doing. I happen to be involved in a video company that's a new one with one of my clients, and what I told them to do is this. Look, go online and just look at some of the videos people have, and they're terrible, and call the company and say this: we know we can do a good thing. And one of them, because I'm part of his team as under my tutelage, but one of them is we have the intellectual prowess to be able to conceptualize something that makes a sale. So call up the company and say, hey, I saw your video. You're probably not getting a lot of results from it. I'll tell you what, we have a video we would like to produce for you. We don't want a nickel, but I'm telling you this, we can produce the video from you, and then you pay us after it works. And then you can name your own prize. Now, if you're good, you know what you're doing, and you can put a video together that's really going to produce for them, they're going to like it, and you're going to like it, then you're going to get well paid for what you do, if you have that confidence. So those people that are producing those kind of videos. Now, I have a problem. I've never been in the industry before, and I thought, I'm going to do a TV reality show called The Billionaire Recluse Files. So I get a hold of I get a hold of Mark Burnett is a partner of President Trump. But anyway, I get a hold of them, and he wants 80%. And I said two words that we commonly use when we hit our finger. Anyway, so there's no way this guy's going to get 80%. And you know, Kylie, this is torture. You're the only lady on here, and I got to watch my language because of you. So you're torturing me. But anyway, so no, I'm just having fun. So at any rate, so what I've decided to do for the funds, if I have to, I'll buy my own channel. I've got the access to the assets to do it, but I'm not going to do that. Raising money is one of the simplest things in the world, and let me tell you why. First, you need to find the right kind of a person. When you put together the legal entity, the structure of what you're doing, you put it together so that it makes sense and you can perform in what you're doing. Doesn't matter if you have a lot of money or don't have a lot of money. Sometimes people will walk away from someone that has a lot of money because they figure they got it from taking it from other people. So you never know how people are going to think. But you want to read the person. You want to have a project that's good, that's got a good return on investment, and you got to be able to prove what you're doing. And you'll always be able to raise money, because those of us who have money, like I don't make an investment unless I can get 2,000 or 3,000%, because I can do it on my own. I can create my own stuff. Why would I invest in somebody else's stuff if I can do that? So the thing is, when I have clients, I help them get money. And how I help them get money is there's a whole spectrum of the types of investors that are out there. In other words, there are a lot of people out there whose father passed away and they got the money for the farm. So they got $200,000 or $400,000 and they got they're burning a hole in their pocket. They're wanting to put it somewhere. They have no idea how to invest or what to do. That's evidenced by Enron. You people remember Enron a few years back, the electric company? You remember Bernie Madoff? Everybody, hey, I know how to vet people. Well, Jeff Skilling's okay and Ken Lay's okay. Here's my money. I did the same thing and I lost my dairy age. So point is, Kelly, you're torturing me. So anyway, so what happened is that a lot of people invested there, and they invested in Bernie Madoff because he sat on the New York Stock Exchange and everything. He never had anything. So if you teach people how to vet you, like when people deal with me, I have them vet the standards of knowledge. That's it, nothing else. So in your case, when you're putting something together, you need to find the right kind of investor. And for a new startup like yourself, you're not going to do well with sophisticated investors as well as you could do if you find people, and you have to have a moral compass, my friend. I'm sure you do. You don't want to rip people off. You want them to get a good value for what you're doing. You want to know what the hell you're doing. If you don't, you can end up in jail pretty quick by taking people's investments. But the point is, there's this whole spectrum from people who got money for any number of reasons, through a divorce or their mother died or whatever the case is, or totally unsophisticated investors. So you need to find out the group of people that you want to get it from how you want to get it, and put it together right. I'm just telling you that money is not a tough thing to get. You just have a legal responsibility. John will take John.
Yes, sir. We're down to about 10 minutes from what we planned, but if we have the ability to go a little bit longer, if it's valuable for everybody. So
okay, John will tell you this. There's a lot of times I turn down. We have one client in Canada. He had $1 million cash. He says, "I want to put this in your account." I said, "No, don't need it." Well, I can say that because I got a few shekels. I can afford to say that. Poor Steven's over there salivating right now. He said, "Oh God, I want to know that guy." But at any rate, he said, "Tell me who he is." But at any rate, I turn money down all the time. We have another sophisticated couple in real estate. It wasn't a bunch, but she wanted to give me $300,000. I said no. And then I talked to her and her husband. I said, "You take your own money and put it where you want." But I'm telling you, people, there's money out there all over. They have to have confidence in you. If you don't know what you're doing, learn what you're doing. Don't just be some idiot that says, "Hey, I think I'll put together a bunch of movies and stuff because someone else is doing it." You're never going to make it. Study what you're doing. Study your craft. Know what you're doing. When I sign a contract with my clients and I tell them, "I'm going to show you how to raise money," by contract, I have to actually raise it for them. That's the only way you can teach people. You do something in front of them. So I hope that was some good advice for you. And I think Kaylee had her hand up a minute ago.
Thank you.
Yes, just one more question. So the biggest thing that anyone who's leading anything has to do is figure out what goals we want to achieve, figure out what problems are stopping those goals from happening. They have to figure out then how to solve those problems, who's in charge of that, and when that needs to be delivered. Now, we're in a situation right now that is supposedly unprecedented with what's going on in the world. And my concern right now is I can control my environment and do what I can do with what I can to cut hard and fast and pivot and change. But with what's going on, I can't seem to figure out what the real root problem is to all of what's happening right now. And again, that's not my job to worry about. I have no control over that. Like, I'm not Donald Trump. But you've lived through many years of waves of, or cycles of spring, summer, winter, fall. What seems to be the biggest problem right now? Is it the monetary system? What's your opinion?
Well, when I see what's happening globally or nationally here, I only see opportunities. I don't see problems. And for example, right now, with what's going on with properties, we're doing bomb shelters, survivalist camps. We're putting one thing together up in Montana where we're going to have, just so that people can feel at ease. I think the country's going to bounce back very soon. I think the economy is going to be great. We're going to get over this coronavirus. I think everything's going to be fine. Some people think it'll take a couple of years, but right now, what we're doing is we're putting people into, like up in Sanctuary up there, and we call it Sanctuary. It's a project up in Montana. People worry about things. They say, "Wait a minute, you're off grid. You can't get gas for your vehicles. If Iran attacks us right now because we're a little vulnerable because of coronavirus or Kim Jong-un or whatever the case is." So we're in the process of buying 150 horses. We're going to have compound bows just to make people feel comfortable, where these people, our security team, can handle things with compound bows. We don't even need bullets. We're going to be raising chickens and pigs, all this kind of stuff, and it's going to be a total separate little society. Now, these people can get into it now, but I'm not going to take advantage of them. They're going to have an exit strategy when things do feel good, because it'll turn into a major camp where people go out and go horseback riding, go hunting and stuff like that. It will make a profit. When times are good, we'll be selling the dead chickens to everybody that, like Tyson sells their chickens. We'll be selling chickens and pigs and all this kind of stuff and make a profit from it. If things go bad, we'll be eating them. So I flow with what happens is what I do. To let you know, with whatever happens, I flow with it. But my moral compass dictates that I'm not going to take advantage of people. I look on TV and I see gun stores with people lining up around the gun store to go buy guns. Well, they're worried about things. So I put all these gun stores to work with. John, we had some guys that they would go over to Somalia and different places and hire out. They were special forces guys and stuff like that. We had them working for us. And in 2 days, how many gun stores and camping stores do we get to work for us?
21.
21 stores in 2 days. And these stores became salesmen for us because everybody trusted them, and they're selling people to go up where we're at. So it's a matter of, I delegate. Everything I do runs from the cranium. It's either from the back of the yacht, the jet, or sitting here on the compound. I don't lift a finger. I just delegate to other people. But again, everything that happens, if there wasn't the ups and downs and the curves, as you call them, or the variations, it would be awful tough to become a billionaire. You know, when there's blood in the street, that's when you buy the property and stuff. Nobody burns money. I haven't heard that. Now there's a virus going on, but I haven't heard of anybody burning the money. So the money is still there. So people have to feel comfortable with what you're doing and how you're doing it and their exit strategies so they can change, if that makes sense.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you for the question.
Any other last questions?
I'm fairly good at reading people and guessing people and stuff like this. If you can, sir, I'd like to hear some kind of a thought or a question from Mr. Reddy. You're very pensive in how you're paying attention and everything, and I can read you. But anyway, go ahead and unmute yourself if you would and talk to me for a second.
Hi, it's an honor to meet you. I'm an entrepreneur for the past 15 plus years, mostly in the healthcare technology world. I invest a lot of my money on my own projects and try to bring it to the market. I was an executive in a healthcare company. And as long as I was working for other companies, I did well. But when I started on my own entrepreneurial journey, that's when I invested in a lot of my time on big ideas that can change the healthcare technology. But I wasn't really successful in launching those or bringing to the fruition. I invested several millions in the process, but not able to raise the money. I was just now getting ready to launch one of the products that I had been working on for a while. And again, I probably one of the bad examples, but again, not able to launch or attract investors or things of that nature.
I see. And by the way, and this is for you too, is it, how do I pronounce your first name, Vijay?
Vijay.
Vijay, okay. So one of the things I want to mention, if any one of you at any time would ever like to have a private conversation, just get a hold of Siddique. And of course, I'll try to sell you to become a client, but that's not that big of a deal. I'll just do it because Siddique has already paid me a fortune anyway. And I'll be glad to have a private conversation with you and solving what you're doing and raising money. Just by a show of hands, if I take a few minutes, is there anybody interested in hearing how we're going to make 55,000% profit on an investment on real estate?
That was really unbelievable. I invested several millions on my own ideas and projects, but I got zero return so far. Hopefully, once we launch it, probably it will do better. But there is no guarantee. These are the ideas that I believed in. But 50,000% is really something that I could never fathom.
Let me tell you about that, and that's one of the reasons I brought that up, because it almost sounds scammy. Hang on one second, John. What's going on in chat there?
Stand by, sir.
So
that's chats that I sent earlier, sir, to individuals.
Okay, so what we've got is we found a piece of property up in Montana. It is how many acres, John?
680 acres.
And it's how much per acre? $2,800?
Correct, sir.
So get ready to do the math. So there's that many acres. Now what I do is I find a piece of property. What happened to the young lady? I guess I scared her off of here or something. She'll be back maybe.
Could be an internet issue.
So we can only put a building on each 20 acres. So I decided to keep the property for ourselves. Now I'm going to go through this real quick, but I decided to set up, and by the way, any of you can Zoom and check on bunkers and survivalists and all this stuff. It's a multi-billion-dollar business. I didn't even know it when we first started. But I thought what I would do is if I can put 4 underground bunkers on each quarter of an acre and sell them for $200,000 a piece, and it cost me like $80,000 to $100,000 a piece to put them in, that leaves $1.6 million profit on each one. And if you just do the math in your calculator, you'll find out that if that's clear profit, $1.6 million. And if it's and of course this doesn't mean anything now. It's all BS at this point, but it'll change in a few seconds for you. But that's where the 55,000% comes in. If we're paying what is it, $2,800 per acre, and we're making $1.6 million, that's 55,000%. Is that correct, John?
Yep, 57,142%.
57,142. So now, if you were an executive, VJ, and I came to you and you were inclined to be a survivalist or whatever, and I said, I know you've got some assets. I want to make a sale to you. I would like to sell you a compound, so if something ever happens in this world, like we get attacked or we get some kind of virus or something and it gets real serious and you want to go to a place where you got 2 years of food, you can live up in clean air and have a place to live and everything else, and it won't end up costing you anything by the way I do my business. Would you want to hear what I got to say?
Definitely,
Right, so here's the deal. It's just simple. I would have you sign a letter of credit. I would go up there and I would build this bunker and complete it out. And then what we do is just like, what's it called? John, we have some of our people have these where they rent out. What's it called?
Airbnb.
Airbnb. So now we're up there and we got campers that go up there and stay. And now let's take this 200,000 over 30 years. Do this real quick, John. And by the way, VJ or anybody else, you got a calculator, just do this. We'll do it real quick. What does that amortize out per month over 30 years? Just do 30 years, 30 times. Take 30 into 200,000.
You want me to answer, sir?
Yes.
$6,666
a year, and divide that by 12. Divide it by 8. We'll say 8 months. 2 months out of the year, VJ is going to be up there getting drunk and stuff in his place. But right now, so we got 8 months out of the year. What does that come to per month?
$833.33.
Okay, so I want to double the price. I want to make double it on it again. So we'll say $1,600 a month. Now divide that by 20 days, or say 25 days. We'll have 5 days for maintenance. 25 days.
$1,600 a month divided by 20.
Yes.
$80.
How much?
$80.
Okay, so if I can rent a bunker that has a family for 4, people can camp out in the woods and everything, I can probably get a couple $100 a night. I've already got 21 stores selling this for me. So the point is, I can even double and triple my profits from it. The executive that buys it, he signs a contract. We own the rental company. We rent it out and manage it for him, and we make the payments for him, and he gets his money back. So just to make it simple, there's a lot more involved in that, but just to make it simple, that's how you promote. And that's how I think. I have a piece of property in Mexico, in the Baja of Mexico, between La Paz and Loreto. I paid $1,000 down for it, and it was $1,000 a month with a balloon in 20 years, and it was a $2 million purchase on 60 square miles, which came out to about $13 per quarter acre lot, is what it came out to. At the time I bought it, I was at the Westgate Hotel. Somebody saw my Rolls Royce, figured I had some money. I wasn't a recluse then. They figured I had some money. They talked to me about it without even looking at it. I said, what is it? And they said, 14,800 hectares. What's a hectare? It's 1.47 acres. So I figured all that out. I thought I was gonna go out there and find an old stolen Chevy pickup truck with a dead Mexican and some tequila bottles and some hubcaps out in the middle of the desert. That's what I thought I was going to find. So I bought this sight unseen. And the reason I did is because there was a company called Century 21 Real Estate that had purchased it from these people in Ensenada. And the real estate company couldn't even pay the $1,000 a month. So their contract went south. I took it over. We had it filmed. I had it written out and everything else. Then I went down to see the property. And we're flying along down there. And, in the Baja, it's only, 80 miles wide in certain spots. And so I'm seeing the Pacific Ocean, and pretty soon I'm going to see the Sea of Cortez. And I told Warren, I said, where's your property? He said, it's right down there on the beach. 12.5 miles, the most beautiful beach you've ever seen. Unbelievable. I almost had a heart attack. I said, let's go back to San Diego. I hired a film crew. We went over it. We made sure we had a meeting of the minds. It was all conscionable, everything else. In my first 45 days, I made $3.5 million on that property, and I'd only spent $6,000. I give them $5,000 up front because I had that. I think I had 7,000 or 8,000 pocket money, so I give them $5,000, paid 5 months in advance to tickle them a little bit, got the deal done, and then I had other people sell for me. So what I did is I went to. How many people here has ever gone down to the Baja deep sea fishing? Nobody has. Okay. When you go down there, it costs you $1,000 to go out for a half a day to fish each person. That's $500. Then if you catch a big sailfish, it costs you $1,000 to cook the bastard in the hotel if you're staying at a good hotel in Los Cabos. Excuse my language. So, but the point is, there was 15, 20 people down there to do fishing. Now I did a check after I bought this, and I found out that ocean view property. Ocean view means you could be 6 blocks back, but if you can see the ocean, a lot sold for $40,000. Was that it? Now I want to see a show of hands. If you were my partner and we got into a piece of property, by the time we got our escritura numbers, which is the surveying titles and everything else, we had $150 in each lot. And you were my brother and we were in it. Would you sell it for $20,000? If you would, put your hand up. You wouldn't? If you only had, I can't believe these guys. You guys need some help here, for Christ's sake. If you can get something and you've got an investment in it of $150 and you can get $20,000 for it, you wouldn't sell it? I think you would. We just have a bunch of shy people here. So the point is this. I went to all the fishermen. I said, here's what I want you to do. I checked with the Border Patrol, and that's the largest cross border on earth, by the way, there in San Diego. A lot of people come over to work every day and go back and forth, but there's several million people that go fishing in the Baja each year. So I said, contact the people and tell them this. If they come down and use your service to go fishing, they get on your boat, they pay you, they go fishing. Everything they spend, if they live in San Jose and they have to take a cab to the airport, their cab fee, their airplane tickets or foods, every dime that they spend, I'll give them dollar for dollar toward that property in real estate or in real value, up to 50% of the value of the property. And if they don't want to buy the property, they just keep going down there. And after 2 years, they own one of them, and we sell the rest in their name. And there's a reason for that. Those of you in real estate will understand that, because you have to, if you sell more than 4 lots out of the country, you have to have a license in each state and all that kind of stuff at $50,000 a piece. So at any rate, we ended up with a bunch of people. And the only caveat was, we said, if you spend $5,000 on a trip or $3,000, I'm going to give you that just in a receipt toward the purchase of property, up to 50% of the value. If you don't want to own the property, you just put it on the market for sale. Like if your uncle gave you a piece of property in New York who passed away, you don't want it, you have a realtor sell it and you get the check, whatever's left. So then, all I want them to do is to say, you have to stay at a place that I pick, and I guarantee you it won't be any higher price than any other place and the same accommodations. That was it. So all of a sudden, we end up with a couple thousand people. So now, they're getting this lot, and we're talking them into giving us $100 a month to secure a particular lot for themselves. They can sell it. We give them $200 a month credit for it. And when they come down fishing, they get their total expenses off. Now, when they go home, their wife's not jumping on them because they're spending the money instead of putting the kid through college because they're getting it toward retirement. So now all of a sudden, I got a couple $100,000 a month cash flow coming in. I only owe $1,000 a month. In addition to that, everybody says, I will stay where you want. I come back to the United States. I find a bunch of wannabe builders, people that want to do like a 6-plex or an 8-plex or something like this. And I tell them, look, go to your uncle, your aunt, your mother, wherever you can, get the money. We'll build it there. I happen to own the construction company, so I'll make a few bucks on it, but we'll build it there. And guess what? I've got it rented out for the next 5 years. I've got thousands of people here who've been going down there for X number of years, and they have to stay where I want them to stay. And here's where I want them to stay. It's right on the property. It's a fishing thing. So you can build a condo or a 6-plex that's built out and rented for you for the next several years. That's how a billionaire thinks. That's how a billionaire acts on those thoughts. I'll sit here and brag all day long if you give me the chance. John, does anybody have any more questions?
Anybody, raise your hand if you do, like in person.
Now, especially you, BJ, I would like you to talk to Siddique, and I'm going to try to sell you as a client. I'll tell you that right now, but there's no obligation. Milk as much information as you can out of me during a private meeting. I won't push it down your throat. If we end up working together, fine. If we don't, I'll help you out. But you're a guy, I know I can make a big difference in a month's time. You're losing 10, 20, 30,000 a month just by not doing the right things, and you know it. I can read that in you right now. Am I right or am I freaking wrong?
Thank you very much, Mr. O. It's really an honor. I'm right now focused on my own project that I had been spending unbelievable number of hours getting that to the market. Is at least that's all in my mind. But
let me tell you something. 90% of our clients, they have their own project. Like we've got one guy's name is Dale Brown. When I first met him, he wanted to buy an island off of Maine. He now owns the island. It's off of Bar Harbor, Maine. It's got a lighthouse on it, and he's going to be selling crabs here. So a lot of my people have their own projects. It doesn't have to be my project, and nobody has to invest in my projects. I do fine enough on my own. I help people with their projects through the standards of knowledge to make it. So if somebody needs $5 million or somebody needs dollars or whatever the case is, if they got a valuable project, that's what I do.
Okay.
So just to let you know, but either way, the offer's there. I'm not going to push you on it, but if you feel like you want to have a chat, let Siddique know. Does anybody else have any questions?
I believe Capriccio did, sir.
Where we at?
I was curious as to more about the 13 standards of knowledge. Like, how do we get more information on that?
Siddique will be glad to send you a sheet. He'll send you information on the video, and he'll send you a sheet with the 13 standards on it. And also, Siddique, every Wednesday night we have a thing called Reflections. It's absolutely free. It's a webinar that I conduct. And if you people want it, just ask Siddique. He'll send you a URL and you can get on that. And that way you can see clients I have, the projects I have, like we're in the medical industry. We have one guy who works with autistic children. We're building robots for the children. We're setting up a manufacturing company for robots and sensors and all kinds of things. So every Wednesday, it's free. It's in fact, John, put it in chat right now so that people can copy it and paste it from chat.
All right, you gotta give me a second. You gotta sit there and talk some more shit, sir, while I do this.
I think, Siddique, are you froze? I think he is. I think his internet's froze. Did you die, Siddique? Maybe he died.
He's here, sir.
I'm still here.
Okay. So, any more questions? Ed, talk to me. What do you do for a living, Ed? Mr. Stanley.
I own a property management company, Key Rancher Atlanta. It's a franchise.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So right now I'm really just starting out in Atlanta. I really feel like what I need most is a mentor. Most people, from what I understand, have their father as a mentor. The president, Donald Trump. His father taught him most of what he knows. However, I feel like in my business, I'm repeating a lot of the mistakes that my father made when he was running his business. So I guess really my question is, how do I, or should I find a mentor that would be better for me rather than what my dad taught me? I guess that's,
you happen to be speaking to one right now, but
right.
There are several people out there. Because you're asking this question, again, I would suggest that, because it's not fair in front of everybody else for me to take a lot of time, plus there's proprietary information for you, but I would suggest that you talk to Siddique and we set up a private meeting and chat. Again, look, if I become a mentor for anybody, and I have clients all around the globe, we have projects from large housing developments, just anything you can think of in the medical industry, manufacturing, everything. And my contract stipulates that I have to perform for the people. And so if it's not me, yes, you need to find a mentor somewhere that knows what they're doing, how they're doing it, and can make things happen for you. And you need to take a good forensic look at what you're doing. Obviously, VJ is a very intelligent guy, comes up with ideas and concepts, develops, maybe has patents, I don't know, but he puts all these things together, and something is missing. He should be worth $8 or $9 billion or $10 billion right now, and you know it. VJ, you just know you should, and so there's a reason you're not, and you need to find out what those reasons are. Why am I not a billionaire? What is missing? What am I not doing right? How do I outcompete with the other people? look, you get Bill Gates, you get Elon Musk, you get Richard Branson. None of them do business plans. They're out there. They will tell you that. We have videos to that effect in where they're given. And like myself, you have to be able to think on your feet. And I represent to people that if they learn and master these standards, there isn't anything they can't make money at. It doesn't matter. A guy was asking me the other day, he was telling me about his business, and he said it happened to be a business in office supplies. And he said, I probably know more about it than you do. And I said, if you don't, something's wrong with you. But it doesn't matter how much I know about that particular business. What matters is, do I master confidence? Do I have the ability to sell somebody anything I want to sell them? Can I put together the mental gymnastics and the mental mechanics to cause somebody else to say, I want to give you my money, I want to be involved? Or if you don't want to raise money, can I put something together that causes people to go out and put together enough money where I've got $5 or $10 million to do my project without having to borrow it or anything else? And these people are going to make some profit on the back end. How do I do that? How do I sell them? How do I take a number 7, an idea or a concept out of midair and make it work, take it through to fruition? These are the things that are important. So again, sir, I would like to have a conversation with you if you would like to have that. And as I mentioned before, of course I'm going to try to sell my wares, but if I don't, that's fine too. You know, I can, I'm going to make it no matter what happens. I can't spend what I make now. I like this for fun. I like challenges for fun. I have one client who's in the market, in the real estate market, in management and stuff. And I put together a system for this client so that they have, when people move into a rental property from day one, I put together a system that causes them to pay the rent on time, change their own freaking light bulbs, not mess up the carpet, not park a junk car out front. And then when they're ready to finally buy a house, they're going to buy the house through him. And then when they get down the road and they get into a retirement home, their kids are going to invest in the retirement home because they're going to make a profit off it as a business when they sell after their dad leaves the earth. And so I've got it to where we've got them from cradle to grave. So I thought I'd let you know that. You're probably curious enough to ask some questions about it. If you are, call Siddique. We'll have a meeting and I'll answer them. Anybody else have any questions, John?
Well, yes, sir. I was about to state 2 things. One, if we have any final questions, let's get them out now because, sir, we got to wrap up. We got a 1:30 we have to get ready for. And then 2, I put out in the group chat for everybody that the link to our Wednesday webinars, they're free. It's the Billionaire Reflection webinars. They go from 5 to 6 Pacific, which I guess most of you are on the East Coast, so it'd be what, 8 to 9 your time. But every Wednesday, the link is there. It's free. You can check it out. You can invite people to check it out, knock yourselves out. We'd love to have you there.
I wanted to ask Dr. Knight something. Is the doctor from a PhD?
Yes, sir.
And it seems like I've met you before, have I?
Yes,
Correct.
you have, Mr. O. Once again, it's an honor.
Yeah, I remember you there. Okay, good. I just wanted to make sure your picture was froze up. I wanted to make sure you didn't Mount Vesuvius hit closely or something.
No, not yet.
Okay, Ugly, talk to me. No one's going to fall for that one. All right, if you don't have any more questions, I'm gonna go in the other room and take a short nap. If you have questions, I'll be glad to answer them. Again, please feel free to contact Siddique. We'll have a meeting and we'll make some stuff happen. And by the way, on Wednesdays, there will be several of my clients that are on talking about their projects and all this kind of stuff, so you can take a free look at what's going on there.
All right,
okay,
everybody.
Siddique, the floor is yours, sir.
Thank you so much, Mr. O and John Lee, for sharing your wisdom with us and answering our questions. And I really appreciate everyone showing up on this, and see you on Wednesday.